Hi guys, it's Tamra, the Judeo-Christian medium. Let me explain quickly a little bit about what that means. I am a Jewish Christian medium, and I know that might sound confusing if you don't know me or my channel, but it's been a long journey. I've been a medium my entire life. And I didn't recognize it for a while. I thought my experiences were normal, and I put aside a lot of stuff. And I became a tarot reader about 20 years ago. I started reading tarot for YouTube, and through my discovery, I discovered Jesus and the archangels, the Pleiadians, Arcturians, and tall whites, and they've told me who I was in other lifetimes and who I am now, what my mission is, and oh, sorry, I'm in New York, you can hear the horns. Oh wow, someone's really bad. But anyway, suffice it to say, I will explain it more at another time, but through my DNA and through talking to Jesus and my team, they've told me that I've mostly been Jewish and Christian. It's so hard to explain, but so is Jesus, of course. But anyway, I'll get into that at another time. I want to get into this video. I haven't been on my channel for about a month, and I'm really sorry to my subscribers, and I'm really sorry that I'm not doing lives, but I've had other missions I've been doing, and I've been so busy, you guys. Oh, I just need to relax right now. This video, I shouldn't just call it a video, this interview with Judy Garland, this mediumship read, this has been about a month in the making. Judy came to me when I was doing my the beeps when I was doing my that little one made Metatron laugh. Metatron loves little honks. So when I was reading for Natalie Wood, who is also Kylia Delise Posey, Judy Garland came through, and I couldn't remember her name. She came through in her Dorothy outfit, and now, of course, this will all make sense why she came through the Natalie Wood reading. They are all connected. We are all connected. We are all a part of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I've discovered that through my readings. And before we get really into it, I want to welcome my spiritual team. Ooh, I just need to take a breath, guys. It's just so much. I've had Judy Garland with me for about a month, and I have to say this, I'm trying not to get emotional, guys. This has been the hardest reading that I've done. Just the emotional weight of it, the importance of it, the importance of the Wizard of Oz in our collective unconscious, as how it's been part of the Galactic Federation of Light's mission. A all of the souls involved, the weight that it's had on our culture. But anyway, so let me introduce my team. We have God, who is all around us. Thank you, God. Can't really put that energy into words, our Creator. But in my circle, I have, that is always with me, that I am thanking right now. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus is to my right in my circle. Thank you, Mother Mary, who sits on my right shoulder. Thank you, Father Joseph, on my left shoulder. Thank you, Archangel Michael, who is to my right. Thank you, Metatron, who is to my left. Thank you, Archangel, and I just want to say Metatron is a really important part of this read. Okay, they're saying just move on. So thank you, Archangel Eric Medhus. I need Archangel Eric Medhus. He helps me connect to these spirits on the other side, and that is his mission. He is also a part of like a fractal of Archangel Uriel, but he has, his spirit has also branched off, and he can be reached as Archangel Eric Medhus. His mom has a channel here on YouTube called Channeling Eric. She's a well-respected doctor, and I discovered Eric through listening to her channel, and one day he came to me, and some of my subscribers have discovered Eric and have been able to talk to him and talk to other spirits. So if you all are interested in that, you can try contacting Eric Medhus. He says he's available. And my whole team's like, we're available too. So okay, so moving on from Eric Medhus. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Archangel Gabriel. Oops, sorry, moving the camera a little bit. Let's focus more down on this candle here. I have a sage candle, sage and citrus. It's really nice. My spiritual team loves sage. Many of you cleanse with sage. This is a nice way to do it with a candle too. So thank you, Archangel Gabriel. And moving on in a second semicircle, a little further out, we have, and I would like to thank Archangel Sandalphon to my right, Archangel Raphael to the left of Sandalphon to my right, to the left of Raphael, thank you, Archangel Azrael. To the left, thank you, Archangel Jophiel. In the center, I have myself. Thank you, Archangel Uriel, which is me. I'll explain that further in another video. And if you guys haven't noticed, I am in New York City. If you look up to the right of my lovely candle, we have a reflection of the Chrysler building. So I'm pretty close to the Chrysler building. Okay, so to my left, we have, and I'd like to thank Archangel Zadkiel. To the left of Zadkiel, we have Archangel Jeremiah. Thank you. Sorry, they're talking to me. Thank you, Archangel Jeremiah. After after Jeremiah, we have Archangel Raguel. Thank you, Archangel Raguel. Thank you, Archangel Chamuel. Thank you, Archangel Ezekiel. Thank you, Archangel Haniel. And thank you, Archangel Daniel. And just to give you guys a little bit more information, to my left, well, from my group to my left, it's more Pleiadian, Arcturian, and to my right is more Pleiadian, tall white. And so just giving a little bit more information. I'll give more as we go along. It's a lot, guys. I don't want to be overwhelmed. I don't want to overwhelm you. And also, as always, I want to thank the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, and the tall whites. They are here protecting this reading, helping with this reading, helping to calm me down. There are a lot of souls around me right now, all the souls who have passed, who touched the Wizard of Oz, who were part of the Galactic Federation of Light, the Galactic Federation, the Galactic Federation Army, however you'd like to call this. And before we move on, many people have been emailing me and asking me about all of these different influences like Draco and Syrian, and Jesus says they're all valid, guys. Our energy has been around for a long time, pre-Earth, and God has employed many beings to help assist Earth, and they've come through in many forms. To narrow it down in the best way, Jesus has told me when humanity was created, God employed the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, the tall whites, and the reptilians to create the energy of Earth. So far, I've made a video narrowing down the reptilians, and it's really just Reptilian 101. So if you'd like to watch that, you can check that out. And then pretty much all of my videos have more information about our origins, advice, help, all with assistance from the spiritual team that is with me now. Okay. That was really a long introduction, but it's very necessary as this is all connected. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Miss Judy Garland. Yay! Yay, Judy. Oh my goodness. So Jesus told me, Judy Garland has told me that I can say this, that this soul will not be in danger. So guys, Judy Garland has reincarnated, and she is Lana Del Rey, and according to my team, they're all in agreement. Lana is not in danger. No one is after Judy Garland or Lana. Lana has faced, sorry for the sirens, guys. Lana has faced some of the issues that Judy Garland faced, which many people, many spirits, many starseeds have faced on Earth, which is you know, being taken advantage of. And we will get into that. But I asked several times, and Lana is not in danger of me saying this, but she is the reincarnation of, she is the same spirit as Judy Garland, okay? Whew, guys, this is a lot. So, oh goodness, so Judy is such a loving spirit, and she's saying it's okay to talk about Lana. I've talked about Lana. If you guys want to check out my community posts on my channel, you can also check me out on Instagram or Twitter under the same name, Tamara the Judeo-Christian Medium, and daily I post different posts of celebrities, whoever Jesus tells me to post, and their galactic influences. And I've posted Lana Del Rey before, so some of my subscribers know that. So Lana and Judy being the same soul, and having some of the same issues. Lana has not had as many trials and tribulations, but Jesus does want me to say that it was over the summer that I read into her spirit, and I saw that she was in danger of being taken advantage of, and she has been a bit by Miley Cyrus. Sorry, Miley. Taylor Swift. So I saw, I was told that she was in danger of that, and yes, Taylor Swift approached Lana, offering her friendship, companionship, love bombed her. Taylor is a dark reptilian. Taylor offered her to make music with her, and as it went on, made a song with her. Lana has been none the wiser, went along with it, and Lana ended up in the background of one song. And many people may see this as no big deal, but to let you all know, dark reptilians, narcissists, they love to feed off of the talent and energies of star seeds. And I'll explain this further, you know, in this video, in other videos, how this happened to Judy Garland, how it's happened to me, how it's happened to others. As many of you know, narcissists are dark reptilians. Well, starseeds can be narcissistic too, but dark reptilians, also known as narcissists, or the dark triad, psychopaths, sociopaths. It is a scale, but they tend to feed off of star seeds, literally sucking the life out of them and emulating their energy. They can't fully do it, but the longer they're around you, they can try. And we can see that if you really want to analyze it. We can see that in Taylor Swift's new her new album. So she really, really emulated as best she could and tried to feed off of the energy of Lana Del Rey. And Taylor Swift, in her own right, is talented. In fact, I've loved some of her music from the past, especially when she's just kind of rough and sassy, like ooh, look what you made me do. It's very much her. It fits her, but her last album is good, but for me, being a starseed, it doesn't move me the same way that Lana Del Rey's music moves me. And I didn't actually expect to go this deep into it, but they're encouraging me because it not only draws away from it, this type of behavior throughout the ages, it waters down Lana Del Rey's uniqueness. It takes away from her mission, her gifts, her talents that she was given, and it also takes away from Taylor's. So what it ends up doing is just sort of canceling things out. And you all may have noticed this in your own private life, and I don't know if I'm doing it justice and explaining it correctly, but if you have a certain way of being and a certain talent, and someone tries to steal that, they're creating this competition. They're canceling out your talent, and they're also canceling out, they're canceling out like your uniqueness, and they're canceling out their own. It's not saying that there aren't certain trends. So it's complicated, but it's not good. And Jesus is telling me, Judy Garland is telling me that Taylor would have actually done a better job just being herself. And Jesus wants to chime in also that many times with musicians especially, sometimes actors and other talented people, across the board, reptilians, Arcturians, Pleiadians, and tall whites, sometimes you are downloaded and given certain songs and a limited amount of like hits or divinely guided material, and you're supposed to move on from that afterwards, maybe to be something else, a director, manager, mother, father, and that explains why some people can have, a couple really good albums, and then the music is no longer divinely guided. It's sometimes people even imitating themselves. And so this isn't, this advice is not directed to shame people. It's just, this is all help. This is helpful advice that artists could take to understand why this happens, that much of the work that they do is divinely guided, and it's actually, at times you're supposed to move on, and some artists, they continue the divine guidance, but it's few and far between, and it's something that you signed up for because not everyone is meant to, say, like, be a top rated actor their entire life, or a, top musician. It's grueling. Judy Garland went through this. Actually, she was supposed to continue to do her career, one of the few, for as long as she did, but it takes a lot of discipline, and it all depends on people's particular life path. And they're saying this, they're all saying this is in regards to everyone too, and everything that you do to check in with yourself, that especially in the United States and other countries, we have many people who get stuck in the same career path, and they become bitter and unhappy, and it's because they're just supposed to move on, and instead of seeing it as like a personal failure. And this is with any job. It doesn't matter how big you've become, what you've become. You could have studied for a long time and become a doctor, and your heart just isn't in it anymore. And they're saying life is short, and you shouldn't worry. They understand the practicality, but sometimes, oftentimes, they're saying most times, if you do move on to do the thing that is the next thing, as scary as it might be, that it could bring even more prosperity, because it would bring joy, and also it leaves room for other people to do what you did. And this is not across the board. Some people are meant to stay in their careers, but not many. And this is also going into the idea of mentorship, and I'll talk more about that at another time. But let's get more into Judy Garland and understand these are all messages from her soul too, things that she's learned. So Judy Garland is saying, guys, that the Wizard of Oz was her life. So that story of the Wizard of Oz is her life story. And that movie was a win for the Galactic Federation, even though Judy suffered a lot in her career and in making that movie. She's also like, guys, I had a great life. She had an amazing life. She struggled a lot, as we'll get into, but she had really good times too. So that movie, The Wizard of Oz, represents, it's gone on to represent narcissism, with the witches and the flying monkeys. It's very common terms for narcissism and their latch. What is that called, guys? What are you saying, latchies? Yeah. So they're using those old terms. So with Judy, her, that movie represents the whole starseed experience with Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Lion, and the they're showing me the Scarecrow. So one of the big lessons is they all had power. They all had what they needed, but they thought they were afraid of the narcissists who were trying to steal it, the witches, and they thought that they needed the approval of the wizard to to own their own power, which they never did, which is why Dorothy had the red slippers all along, because she had the power all along. She didn't need Glinda, the good witch, she didn't need the wizard, and she was born with that power, and she had it with the, the ruby slippers were just a representation. So, and also when she got back to Oz, all of the characters were already there in her life. So, I hope I'm making sense. This is like, they've been explaining this to me for about a month, so I'm trying to narrow it down to explain it to you guys. So, in Judy Garland's life, the monkeys on her back, thanks guys, the monkeys, all the symbolism were drugs, agents, managers, the studio, and her mom, and the men that she married and people she had in her personal life. She was surrounded by dark reptilians. She also had some good starseeds in her life, but she came here, Judy Garland came here to break the generational curse of her family, which was narcissism, which was the bloodline was corrupted through marriage to dark reptilians, and also there was a bloodline of homosexual men, which my channel is not against homosexual men in any way, shape, or form. It's more about in her bloodline. It was passed down, homosexual men marrying straight women, and what it got to when Judy Garland was born was her father, it was Arcturian, he was an Arcturian homosexual male who married a dark reptilian woman, and Judy came to change and break that generational curse, which she did do through her own children, which we'll get into. Oh goodness, guys. So Judy Garland is, along with Lana Del Rey, is Pleiadian, Arcturian. Her lifetime as Judy Garland, she was born June 10th, 1922, as Frances Gunn, named after her father Francis, in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. I almost said there's another Grand Rapids. I think it's in Michigan. Anyway, so Grand Rapids, Minnesota, and she passed June 22nd, 1969 in Cardonan Lane, London, England, at the age of 47. So she passed very young. So her soul is Pleiadian, Arcturian. She was a Gemini when she was here. Like many starseeds, this explains also why she suffered so much abuse. Being a sensitive starseed, she was also autistic and had ADHD, so that caused a lot of her suffering too. not being able to read social cues, not really understanding what was happening to her, getting into being focused on the acting, the mental aspect of it, singing. You can see it if you'd like to rewatch her movies or watch her movies. You can see how into it she gets. That's a very starseed quality, a very autistic, very ADHD quality. And they're saying at some point humanity may not even be using these same terms because they sound like a deficit. It's just a different way of thinking, a different way of being. So other starseeds that were involved in this movie, which was fated and organized by the Galactic Federation. We have writer L. Baum, who wrote The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. We have writer Yip Harburg, who wrote Somewhere Over the Rainbow. There's a pattern in that. Along with the Galactic Federation, we have, which I want to get into in other videos, we have bloodlines. And a lot of these bloodlines connect to my bloodline. Being Jewish, we'll get into that at another time. It all comes together and it's all important, but not important as far as racism goes. So we have to be careful when we talk about these subjects. They're going to teach me how to talk about bloodlines and where they come from and the importance and how they date back to the lost tribes of Israel and how they date back to the disciples. And we'll get into that at another time. And just know that any bloodline can be a starseed or reptilian. So just to make that clear. So I have all these notes that I've written down since being with Judy. And one note here is, guys, one of the major reasons I'm really bringing up the reptilian starseed dance, which is also, it's been told to me and is known as spiritual warfare, is it's very serious, guys. So starseeds and reptilians have a dance, and one of the worst dances that they can do is to be married if it's a dark reptilian. If a dark reptilian spends a certain amount of time with a starseed, especially in an intimate setting, they will eventually not get along, and the dark reptilians tend to deeply resent the starseeds and tend to be to pose a danger to starseeds. So this is really important information, guys. This is one of the reasons why I'm talking about this. So let's go through this. Judy Garland had 5 spouses, and because of her circumstance, because of how she was seen in Hollywood, because of the studio, because of Louis Meyer, who was head of the studio at the time, a dark reptilian. who abused her physically, mentally, emotionally, because of the connection with her father being homosexual. 4 out of the 5 men she married were homosexual, and this is not being against homosexuals at all. This is just explaining what happened to her and the dynamic. David Rose is homosexual, Vincent Minnelli is homosexual, Sidney Luft is homosexual, Mark Herron was homosexual, and then finally her last husband, Mickey Deans, was straight, but he was not a good guy, dark reptilian, and to make matters worse, we'll get into Mickey Deans. Goodness guys, it's just so much. He's a nightclub owner, a drug dealer. Okay, so Judy Garland had 3 children. Liza Minnelli, who I'm sure most of you know is a famous singer and actress. She is part Arcturian, part reptilian, not dark reptilian, just part Arcturian, part reptilian. Lorna Luft, who is Arcturian and Pleiadian, and Joey Luft, who is reptilian, not dark reptilian, just reptilian. Okay, so pretty much everyone involved in like writing The Wizard of Oz and the music from The Wizard of Oz were star seeds, except for Louis, I don't know if I'm saying his name, Louis Mayer, sorry, the siren's going off. Meyer, they're saying Louis Meyer, part of MGM, Metro Goldwyn Mayer. He was the ringleader, the wizard. It's so funny, guys. It's so ironic that they made this movie describing what exactly was happening at the studio, with Louis B. Mayer being the ringleader, being the wizard. It was right under their nose. The whole story, everything that was happening was mirroring what was really happening in real life. This guy was so abusive. He grew up, he was a reptilian, very powerful, very smart, came here with the promise he made from the other side to make this movie, to make movies, and to be an earth angel. And I've tried to describe that in my other videos. What does it mean to be an earth angel? What is that life path? So what it is a very old soul reptilian who has been there, done that, has succeeded as a reptilian, and would like to work for the light. And so when they are on the other side, they make an agreement to come here to work for the light, to use their power, influence, intelligence, all of their instincts from their previous lives as, you know, a reptilian, and they want to work for the light and sort of earn their status as an earth angel. and continue to work for the light. It's a very challenging path because once we all come to Earth, and once the reptilian who comes here with all of that power, they are very easily corrupted because they rely on the reptilian instinct that they've had before, and the dark reptilian energy that hangs out in the fourth dimension that influences us all really goes hard on reptilians who are here to work for the light, and that energy really tempts them and usually wins. It's an extremely tough circumstance. Sometimes it seems easy for someone like Louis Meyer to live his life, but as a soul, especially when he passes, he will see that he did not accomplish what he wanted to, and they will take it from there. So okay, just wanted to let you know that so Natalie Wood, who is also Kylea, she passed the baton. That's why I saw Judy Garland with Natalie Wood. Like, she just popped into the reading, and if you guys watch that video, you can see me being like, is that Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz? And they're all laughing now. They're all here. And they pass the baton because they all experience, like, the souls that I have brought through, I'm connected to, and we have some similar experiences, some similar energies that we fought while we're here, and I'll get into that at another time, like who I am and my lifetimes, and what I've gone through within reason. I have to watch my safety, and details and things like that, and Jesus will guide me as to when to release the right information. But there's been this connection from the very beginning. The very first person that came to me was Shanann Watts, and through that she has passed the baton to each person, and we're all connected, and we all, under a big umbrella, have the same goals, different circumstances, different talents, different times that we've been here. So Judy is also, so right now she's with JFK and they're laughing. She used to sing to JFK every night. She would sing a few chords from The Wizard of Oz, and it's just so funny, you guys. So it's so interesting how everyone's connected, and if they're telling me if you listen to Lana Del Rey, she a lot of her music and videos are connected to the Kennedys, and that's no coincidence because spiritually they're connected. I'm connected to this group, and we will be connected in future lifetimes, which I may be able to talk about at another time, depending on safety. So when Judy Garland was here, like I've said, her mom was a dark reptilian stage mom, and she did have talent playing the piano. Her mom was very masculine, which most dark reptilian women, they tend to act masculine, but they're actually, masculine is a protective energy. They're really more in their dark feminine energy, which is a dark, the dark Jezebel spirit, it's been called. So it's a dark taking energy, a dark manipulative taking energy. And like I said, if you tune into other psychics, mediums, tarot readers, they may call these energies something else, because there are a lot of different names for things according to different religions, different time periods, like I said, different planets. So, there's the Syrians, the Orion group, Pleiadians, Arcturians. Try not to worry so much about each particular group. I've heard Andromeda. I've talked to Jesus about this, and he said just for me to concentrate on what I've told you all about the Arcturians, Reptilians, Pleiadians, and Tall Whites, and the branch off of Dark Reptilian and Earth Angel. But everything is valid, so the more you know, the more you know, the more you know. So just keep studying yourself the best you know yourself. The better equipped you are to do what you came here to do. And as Archangel Uriel, my mission, my overall mission is to protect people, but also my goal and my talent is to help people discover who they are. That's why it's like such a big deal to me. So let's get back to Judy Garland's mom. So this is a very common dynamic in her marriage. She's a dark reptilian female, and she emasculated her homosexual husband. So that's a common dance that we want to highlight in this video, and it gets passed down through generations, and that actually happened in my family lineage, and I will talk about that at another time. But her parents were vaudevillians, and they had a theater in Minnesota, in Grand Rapids, Minnesota. And because her father was closeted, he had affairs and they had to move. So surprisingly, this may be hard to believe, but her mom, being dark reptilian, actually fed off of this drama. And even though she acted like she was put out and a victim of this drama, she fed off the drama. And the drama that started in Judy Garland's life, now Judy's wearing, oh guys, she looks so beautiful. She's wearing a beautiful red sequin gown, and she has like a long cigarette, and she's really sexy, and she said she didn't really own her sexuality because her mom and Louis Meyer, like, they criticized her so hard, criticized her looks, put her on drugs to lose weight when she was a child. That started a drug cycle with her. So she took uppers during the day, downers at night to sleep. She took medication to appetite suppressants. It was just awful, guys. So anyway, so starting at the beginning of her life, I don't know how to put this. I don't want my channel to get flagged, but her parents tried to end her mother's pregnancy, but fortunately the doctor, and this was assisted by spirit, the doctor, very good guy, talked her dad out of doing that. So from the beginning, from when she was just, cells in her mother's stomach, I sound like a little kid, in her mother's womb, let me explain how this works. The dark reptilian energy is fully aware of what goes on spiritually, and from the very beginning tried to negatively influence her parents and in order for her not to be here. And this is a theme with some starseed conception, some starseed beginnings. It's basically spiritual warfare. So as you guys can see, this is all connecting, and I hope I'm making sense in trying to connect this all together. You guys can watch my other videos. I've talked about this. I've talked about spiritual warfare. Other mediums talk about this. Let's see, like movies and books and songs and all kinds of art, and all kinds of including my past lives. We've tried to shed light on this. No pun intended, but yeah, we've literally tried to shed light on this, and throughout the ages you can see how it all connects in spiritual teachings and art, and in our lifetime, if you're listening to this, like I've told you all about Harry Potter and Star Wars, and all kinds of art has reflected this, including the Wizard of Oz. So, okay, so that's how she started out her life. But actually, the doctor changed her parents' mind, and they decided to have Miss Judy Garland, who was born Miss Frances Gum, and she started performing with her two sisters as the Gum Sisters. And she started singing at 2 years old, and people just were amazed at how she would belt out songs. But guys, let's go back to, she was autistic, and she's laughing because, you know, that's that starseed quality where people just stop and stare because, you know, as a child, she didn't know she was going overboard singing. And it's not really going overboard, it's her talent and her energy. But that's what leaves people awestruck. It's autism. It's just not just going for it, being in your full talent. Many people will come to see that, you know, sometimes what they think is a deficit in their autistic child is just their child like really embracing themselves and sort of filtering out unnecessary data and focusing in on their own thing, which is pretty much what I'm doing now. I'm on the spectrum. I'm focusing in on spirit talking to me, and I'm canceling out other stimulus, and that's how I'm able to be a medium. And because I have that gift, other people could see it as as a deficit, you know, being on the spectrum, like, why are you not taking, well, it looks like you're not taking everything in. You are, but you're filtering it out because you're focused on your, and that's part of ADHD too, you know, you're just focused in on what is the most important thing to you at the moment. So I hope I'm making sense with this. Sorry if I'm moving the camera. Okay, continuing on here. So, yes, Judy Garland was a medium. So when she was singing, guys, you have to understand she was under a tremendous amount of pressure from outside forces. She also had the dark reptilian energy feeding off of her and her insecurities. You know, be it that's that devil on your shoulder that says mean things to you. And she had that opening with her mom's abuse. Her mom was her first abuser. And, you know, watching her dad be emasculated, that was traumatic. And then, unfortunately, at a very young age, meeting Louis Meyer, who abused her. So, but through it all, she was a medium, and when she sang, she was able to filter out this negative energy and connect to the other side as a medium. And that's why people are and will always be moved by her singing, and especially singing Over the Rainbow, which was, you know, written by a starseed. And that song in itself, guys, so that song is about the rainbow bridge that connects us to the other side. So when you hear that song, it makes you feel protected because it talks about life on the other side and how we're protected by our spiritual team and how we're looked over by people on the other side. And so that's why that song fills us with, you know, peace and comfort and light. And she had a mission to heal through music, which many starseeds do. And, you know, she did that with The Wizard of Oz and A Star is Born. And that was one good thing she did with one of her husbands, Lutz, was he helped create that movie. So not all was lost. You can also watch her in Meet Me in St. Louis. That's where she actually got to act like a woman. So this whole team of dark reptilians tried to keep her young. And you guys, all I can say is it was just really stupid. Like, they were just really off the mark and just being obsessed with Judy Garland staying young, looking young. Even the character of Dorothy, they felt like just people cared so much about the hair color and her weight, and you know, they just abused her on that movie. And I just had a dream the other night with Judy Garland. She showed me this room with like 4 female stars living in it, and they each had a corner, and her corner had like this little house, and it's like she slept on the floor, but then like when she was supposed to perform, she got in front of this house and they had the camera on her. So during that time, guys, like a lot of these young stars were really abused, and yeah, she was abused on that set. And because Louis Meyer abused her, the other actors didn't treat her with respect. Some of the munchkins tried to put their hands up her dress, and people talked down to her because he did, because her mom did. And so she was basically a starseed without protection, which I've talked about at length is very dangerous. To have talent and looks and power but not be protected is basically just setting you up to be destroyed. And it happens to many, because many come here with such huge missions as to be born into a dark reptilian family, or a family that has one person in it that's like that or more, and they, you know, they're here to break that generational curse. And unfortunately most go down with the ship. Now with Judy Garland, her life was a mixed bag, because she's saying throughout it all, like, it was so worth it. Like, she really, really enjoyed singing and enjoyed making these movies. Her marriages were god awful. Sorry, God, but her marriages were terrible. Her relationship with her mom was terrible. So let's go back to her movies. She said when she did Meet Me in St. Louis, that she was actually her and the song, the person in charge of the songs, he wrote Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. And so she just wants to make note. Oh, she's also saying, okay, so when she did The Wizard of Oz, she's saying that they almost didn't, she didn't get to sing, she almost didn't get to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but thankfully that was changed at the end, and it was amazing. So this is like just an example of like dark reptilians, how they don't see how special something is. But anyway, that was made. But when she did Meet Me in St. Louis, the songwriter of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, she actually helped change a couple of the lines from that, which made it better. And then she actually helped with that song being put into the movie, because it was almost cut. And so we know both Somewhere Over the Rainbow and Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas are like huge in our culture. Like, huge songs, have had a huge impact on us for the good. And so those were wins for the light in this spiritual warfare. So that was divinely guided. So moving on from that, the emotion that you saw when she sang, she really felt it too, guys. Like when she sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, like as troubled as she was as a human, she was a powerful starseed in that moment. And you can see just the protective way she was. You know, it changed her from being so vulnerable, such a vulnerable starseed, into being a protective starseed, a protective, basically protecting humanity through singing. And again, the red slippers represented her starseed magic and power. I'm just going through notes here that I've written, talking to her for over a month. She didn't meet the wizard, which represents, like, in her life, the Hollywood machine, the executives. Oh, this is another thing, guys. Meyer, Louis B. Meyer, him and others, and this is throughout the history of the world, they take credit for starseeds' talent. They can never ever take credit for starseeds' talent. Yes, they can business-wise put them in a situation. So listen, guys, your parents, your business people, reptilians, they can never take credit for your talent. Your talent is divinely guided. Your talent, the talent that you have, that is part of your soul. So, you know, Spirit has told me that I've always been a writer, actor, spiritual leader, and that will always stay with me. And in fact, during this time, I've asked Jesus, I'm like, Jesus, will I ever come back and be a singer or dancer? They're like, no, sorry, that's just not your deal. So, Mr. Louis B. Meyer, if you can hear me, you were never responsible for, you did not make a star. You were a businessman, and we give you credit for putting the business model together and creating movies, but you will never have the credit of the talent of Judy Garland and the other stars that you worked with. And just to be detailed, he called her fat, short, ugly. Like, as we know, he gave her substances. He physically abused her. He emotionally abused her. He pretended to care. He pretended to be a father figure, and to some he did do it, which was just all the more confusing. You know, he's human. He liked some people more than others, and some people weren't as threatening as Judy Garland, but really, instead of him just completing his mission to become an earth angel and helping starseeds, which was pretty much his mission, he did inadvertently help starseeds, but one of the reasons he was so mean to Judy is he was just so jealous. And so they want you to understand that someone coming here to become an earth angel, like I've said before, they've been here so many times, and why do they want to become an earth angel is they want to help the light, and a part of that is they kind of want to be a star seed, but sort of, but they also want to still be reptilian, so that it's like a fight within their soul. But this type is very susceptible to being very jealous of starseeds, jealous to the point of really taking them out, really destroying them, which he almost destroyed Judy. She had a lot of protection from the other side. And growing, also in their defense, Louis Meyer being reptilian and her mom being dark, well, both of them being dark reptilian, not just reptilian. By the time she had met him, he went dark. So not to be confused with just reptilian. So they treated children the way that they feel like they were. So Judy being a starseed, she's already like a giver, a people pleaser, and autistic. She was into her singing and wasn't really getting like all these crazy social cues that everybody was giving, because she didn't understand it. Like I said, when autistic people are getting into their thing, they're not understanding all this craziness around them of these people who are trying to like use them and take advantage of them. They're thinking like these other people are doing their own thing and they must be doing something wrong, and how can they, make things right? So Louie and her mom are treating her like she's a dark reptilian who needs this incredible amount of discipline. Otherwise, like, she's going to be a bad kid. And it was so unfounded and so stupid, because she never ever needed that much discipline. Now, also, her being overworked and her very sensitive nervous system being overworked and having ADHD, she couldn't sleep at night. So she did need those substances in order to sleep. But what she really needed was just like a healthy, work-life balance, some sun, some exercise, love, support, and a moderate work schedule. Oh, sorry, guys, I'm moving this all around. Is that better? Okay, so, they ruled her with an iron fist, which was just so unnecessary. And she also came here as part of the Galactic Federation to shed light on, and this is my mission too, to shed light on Hollywood, narcissism, dark reptilian energy, the unfortunate hiding of sexuality, substance abuse, mismanagement of funds, nice way of saying people stole her money, to change the curse in her family, to be a Pleiadian, Arcturian star, an entertainer. She was vulnerable, had no protection, like we've said. Sorry if I repeat myself. And they're saying it's okay. Like, and this is something, like with my ADHD, like I get bored with repetition, but they're telling me it's okay. It's okay with you guys, the people who really understand this, who need to know this, that I've learned through all the questions from my subscribers that it's okay for me to repeat myself, that you all don't have the same, like, I guess, boredom tolerance. Like, you guys, it's okay for you to hear things repetitively. And so I'm like, okay, I'll repeat. That's been a thing of mine, like worrying about repeating myself, and they're like, don't worry about it. So let me see here, where am I? She's right next to a piano now. Now I'm looking at her. You're so beautiful, Judy. What a beautiful, beautiful soul, you guys. And you can see that with her. You can see that with her children. You can see that with Lana Del Rey. And they haven't really told me. Maybe they will in the future, of like her Akashic records and all who she was in the past. I'm sure she was always, yeah, they're all shaking their heads. She's always beautiful souls. But what a special spirit, you guys. If you want to just kind of go down a rabbit hole and watch her movies and watch Lana Del Rey, you can see just, I've been listening to her music, I've been watching her movies, I've been listening to Lana Del Rey, and all summer I listened to Lana Del Rey before I even, but it's all connected. So before I even connected to Judy Garland, I was listening to Lana Del Rey, and then I started listening to The Weeknd, and you know, The Weeknd is a starseed, so it all connects. And they were telling me that Lana and The Weeknd in the spiritual realm are like brother sister, and that's why when they made a video together, and it's what is it? What's the name of that song? It's like, just you can look up the song. Now I don't want to. Sorry, I'm singing the song in my head. I'm getting lost, but it's a beautiful song. They sing together, and it's like the one. It's like, climb up the H of the Hollywood sign. So when they sing that song together, it's so funny, guys. They try to be sort of sexy with each other, but they end up kind of laughing because it's like brother-sister energy. So you guys, depending on how far you want to go down these rabbit holes, can watch that. Let me look at my notes here and make sure I get everything. So yes, her children, you know, her daughter is Liza Minnelli, which I've said. She ended up repeating some of her mistakes, marrying a couple homosexual men, and actually, so what else they have in common is Judy ended up homeless for a little bit, and Liza ended up homeless, so Judy's other daughter, Lorna Luft, is Pleiadian, Arcturian. She's a humanitarian. Her son is reptilian. He's very private, just reptilian, not dark. A good person, solid. So guys, if you've made it this far, I've kind of been avoiding, you know, well, there's a lot to talk about, but I do want to talk about her passing. her passing, there was foul play. So we want to get into that. But before we get into that, I just want to look at my notes here, make sure that I get everything. Yeah, she says she didn't know she was pretty, and that's very common with women who are autistic. It's part of the deal, like really not getting it. She concentrated on her music. She had random crushes, but she really didn't understand it and didn't know how to manage that because of her autism. And, married not only gay men, so that was also part of the Hollywood machine, like controlling who she married and not caring if it benefited her, and also her autism, not understanding, not seeing, not really getting that her husbands were homosexual. Especially, she was very close to her dad who was homosexual, so she was looking for that relationship, kind of like a bestie who was into the same things she was into. And this is a common dynamic with closeted people who marry, who in her circumstance and in some others, there's a source of frustration that builds up in them because they can't be themselves. And it's a recipe for disaster. Like, obviously they can't really like fall in love like a regular couple. So any sort of relationship where you're living as a couple but you don't love the other person, like, first of all, that's really a terrible power dynamic. It, many like dark reptilians, narcissists, many will either pretend to be a sexuality that they're not, even if it's like they're straight and they pretend to be gay in order to have the upper hand in a relationship. It's terrible, but people do that. Spirit would like you to know that people do that, and it is to have the upper hand, to have the power, because technically, like, the person who doesn't care, in a way, has power in a relationship over the person who does care. And she did love these people. So just this horrible combination of, like, her father was homosexual, her mother was a dark reptilian, narcissistic abuser, and she had no protection against this very powerful, Hollywood mogul who had all of this power and abuse over her, and then all these men who pretended to love her. Jesus is laughing, like that, the arrogance of them thinking that they created a star. Yeah, we went over that. Yeah. And then, oh my goodness, the jealousy. So she, Judy was jealous of the women who were considered like the sexy stars, but they were jealous of her because they thought that she didn't receive the same sort of disrespectful sexual advances that they received. What a mess. What a mess. So she got jealousy from like women too. You needed a big old like evil eye bracelet or something. I don't think that would have been enough. But oh my goodness. This is too much. So and this was hard for me, guys, because as I'm doing the read for her, I'm breaking down like this movie I saw as a kid that I was in awe of, but I actually was really afraid of this movie as a child, and the darkness of it really affected me, you know, as a sensitive starseed child. And like, I would always like kind of watch it with one eye open, and I detached myself. It was just so scary with the witches and the flying monkeys. And the scariest part of that movie for me growing up, and this is going to sound so strange, is like that, just the beginning and end scene of the black and white, that whole Kansas farm really scared me as a kid. Something about it. I know they darkened it up, but I was afraid of Kansas. Like most of my life, I was afraid of the Midwest. I was afraid of being landlocked. And you know, Jesus talked to me about that. He said it's like I've always been that way. Like even, you know, he told me like when we lived in the Middle East, he said that I always went towards the sea, always like wanted to be on the water. And that's a whole long rabbit hole that I'll go down another time. But that movie really scared me. And then as an adult, I would see it sort of playing in the background. And just recently, because of connecting with Judy, I decided to really watch it, and I just couldn't believe everything. Well, they were telling me too, but just how everything had meaning and what it meant and how it represented spiritual warfare. So let me go through this. Okay. So, yeah, her family moved from Grand Rapids to California to be close to Hollywood. You know, some of these things were good and faded so that she was able to make the right connections. What a life though, Judy, like such a struggle, and so you were so strong, guys. She was so strong. Please send her spirit love and energy, and you know, gratitude for doing that, for achieving many of your goals through your children. So I'm just going through here. She was only 4'11". She was, yeah, originally she was like the girl next door, but guys, can we just talk about how beautiful Judy Garland was? And she had that starseed quality that it's just indescribable. And it's just so bizarre that because Louie and her mom decided that she wasn't attractive, how that actually had an effect on men, that like it was just this weird false image and men were buying into it. And this goes to show you how susceptible we are, humans are, to suggestion that, like even Judy looking back and spirits, like she was beautiful and it's had that star energy. So crazy. And you know, they're saying broken mirrors. Her mirrors were broken. They didn't reflect back to her who she actually was. And this abuse tactic really works well on autistic women, ADHD women, which is all under the starseed quality. So let's move on here. Oh yes, so finally when she was on the set of Meet Me in St. Louis, a makeup artist told her she was beautiful and ended up taking out all these prosthetics that the studio used to use on her, because they told her her natural look was ugly. And Louis Meyer called her a hunchback. So weird. Even though she could sing and dance. And her father passed when she was 49. She was really close to him. Even though, like, physically she couldn't always be with him, you know, because her parents had a, you know, bad marriage. It's really sad, but she's with him now. And her dad was Arcturian. You know, he had issues. When I talk about starseeds, I hope I don't imply that starseeds are perfect. We're all human, you know, the earth is dark, and we all go through stuff. Yeah, she was starved. That's terrible. And that was a common thing back then. You know, spirits telling me even parents would starve their children as punishment or just neglect. Sometimes, like, to get them to behave, they'd be like, if you don't do this, you're going to go to bed without dinner. Yeah, and they said Meyer grabbed her physically, sometimes exposed himself. Ugh. They completely controlled her. So then, okay, so I have to say, with her first husband, so she thought she was escaping all this drama by marrying him, and then she got pregnant, and you would think she'd be safe, you know, getting married, but they all convinced her to not go through with the pregnancy, is the best way to say it. Is terrible. And you know, these things happen, guys. Spirit does not support that, but also it's very complicated. And you know, of course, on the other side, she went through that whole life review and felt awful about that, but it's also, it's very hard to explain, but it's like she was obviously under a lot of pressure, and you know, it's not like the way we've been taught that there's like heaven and hell and you go to this dark place. It's not like that. So but I also don't want you to think that our actions don't have consequences, because like we feel it when we go through our life review. So and we try to make it up, you know, in other ways through other lifetimes, or, you know, that's a whole complicated thing. So at some point, she ended up having a nervous breakdown, you know, after her first marriage, and Spirit's telling me she really just had CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder from all of the abuse, plus all of the alcohol, morphine, uppers, downers, sleeping pills. She had been suspended and replaced a few times. And they're reminding me of S trafficking. So yes, her goal, along with the Galactic Federation, is to stop S trafficking, P-file rings, which end up, taking people out, which is the end result of P-file addiction. And like substances, that whole business, people need more and more and more, and extreme and extreme and extreme. And this goes with adult movies. And Judy is saying that whenever you have basically sex without love is the basis, and Jesus is confirming this right now, and JFK is saying yes. When you, not that he was perfect, but when you get into that area where you're going into that area with having relations and there's no love behind it, it can get very, very dark depending on your constitution, your personality, because it can become like a substance. And that's where people go down these really dark areas. And the Galactic Federation is trying to stop that because it causes abuse. It's just a huge, huge darkness in humanity. So, and they've told me that's what I'm here for too, to try to help stop this. So let's talk about, we've gone through, we didn't go through in detail each marriage, but they were all, homosexual men, and except for her last marriage. But that's enough. We don't have to go through each detail, but let's get to Mickey Dean's, her last husband, who was straight. He ended her life. He was a substance dealer, nightclub owner, and sort of like fake manager. He preyed on her. He love bombed her, as many narcissists do, and he, everyone who knew Judy knew, like, she was addicted to substances, but she was only to be given a certain amount, and he gave her more with the intention of her passing, and he benefited from her passing. He had planned on her passing. And the day of her passing, he met with a publisher and published a book about her. About a year and a half to 2 years after her passing, published a book called Weep No More. And I haven't read the book, but this was planned, guys. He's a total snake, dark reptilian manipulator, and preyed on her, and was probably like the worst person she could have met at this time. And because of this, she wasn't doing so well physically, but she was hanging in there. She could have turned things around, but he was literally the nail in the coffin of her existence. And he was so brazen, guys, that he actually, on the way home from her funeral, met with a publisher. But for the record, he's responsible for her passing. Oh yes, so a couple things I wanted to mention here is actually at one point, I won't get into who it is, but one of Judy's husbands slept with Liza Minnelli's husband. So some of the abuse did get passed down, but the whole dynamic, some of it has been broken. So Judy Garland did complete some of her mission, her life, The Wizard of Oz, Liza Minnelli, and the continuation. It hasn't all been good, but most of the mission was completed, and even though Judy was taken out, this was also a win for the light, for the Galactic Federation. It's counted as a win, even though there were many losses. And it's really complicated to explain. You know, they sort of explained it to me, but not, I don't have all of the knowledge, or I can't really put it into words, you know, but Liza Minnelli is funny too. So she ended up homeless at some point too. She was being dramatic, like not asking her mom for money, and ended up like sleeping in Central Park. But you know, she's had a great career, and you know, she's still alive now. I don't want to get like too much into her business, but she's a trooper. She's funny. She was on Arrested Development. Really funny lady. Talent, very talented. And Liza is Arcturian reptilian mix, which is a really good combo. Spirit always tells me that's like the combo of like the really popular person, because they kind of get things more and still have, you know, the talent. It's just different, a different manifestation of talent. Like you can see just the difference between like her and Judy. Not getting into like good or bad, it's just different. So they want me to, and she's here actually, talk about Kay Thompson. So Kay Thompson was friends with Judy Garland and knew Liza. So Kay Thompson wrote Eloise, you know that, so you can check that out, Eloise at the Plaza. I love the Plaza Hotel. I've talked to you all about Eloise, I've talked to you about Madeline, you know, two big hotels in New York. But Kay Thompson was a singer, dancer, actress, and friends with Judy, a little more grounded and had a more balanced life. But she wrote Eloise at the Plaza, so you guys can check that out if you haven't done that already. But she's here, she's close with, she's part of this group, and I'll be featuring her on my channel. You know, maybe I'll do a reading on her, or I might just put her galactic influences on my channel. But you know, I've talked about Ludwig Bemelmans, who wrote Madeline, and he asked me to go to the Carlisle Hotel, which is a beautiful hotel in New York. But it's so interesting how it's all connected together, and I've been made aware of all of this year. But Kate Thompson wrote Eloise, and she said she modeled it after Liza Minnelli, which is Judy Garland's daughter, and you can see that actually in Liza, the personality. So if you like rabbit holes, guys, there's a lot of rabbit holes you can go down with all the details of this video, and I hope you all enjoyed talking to Judy Garland the way that I have, and just understand, she's Pleiadian and Arcturian, she's Lana Del Rey, and even though she had a really hard life and she suffered, she also had a wonderful life, and loved being Judy Garland, and loved singing and dancing and bringing magic, and she loved her children. I haven't really mentioned that. She loved being a mom. She loved cooking. She's, talking to me right now because I love cooking, and she had, the same spiritual team that I have, and she's talking about Archangel Ezekiel and how he helped her cook, and how she really loved that. And one thing that she wishes she did when she was here was, like, of course, like, not marry some of those people, although, she loved having her children. That was a blessing. She wished she didn't get with the last guy. He was bad news, and she really wishes that she just had better management, and she was really taken advantage of by all these business partners and managers and husbands. Lutz was a gambler, and people spent her fortune when she was alive. She just wishes she had just bought one property where, she could have properly had her mail sent to her so she could do her taxes. The American tax system is so complicated, and she lost track of, like, paperwork, which, in her circumstance created really terrible, like, back taxes and things like that, and really ended up taking all of her fortune. And she worked so hard, and these really dumb details, she's bringing this up, guys, because they're all saying it together. The devil's in the details. Really take care of your paperwork, your finances, all the little details, especially if you live in the United States or a very tax-heavy country. They're showing me the UK. She lived there too. Like, you really have to be, like, reptilian in your financial matters, because the systems in those countries are based on reptilian, the workings of, like, just the very exacting business ways. I don't really know how to describe it. They're just showing me like numbers and figures, and it's really overwhelming for people who aren't don't think that way. I'm one of them, so I just have to be really careful with, you have to cross your, what is that expression? They're showing me the T's. They're showing me like old-fashioned writing from that time, like the way, like, look at Judy Garland's signature. It's so beautiful, but they're showing me like the crossing of the T's and the red ink and black ink. Like, these are things that just have always taken out star seeds. Like, reptilians know really, they're not as exasperated and exhausted by these business dealings. So they take advantage of that, and that's how they take advantage of star seeds. But if she had just been able to at least have one person, she didn't have one person who helped her manage her finances. She had some people who helped connect her to make movies, but like, just manage her finances, just have one home where she could have all of her things and no one invaded it, and she could come home to it and cook and exercise and have her family meet her there for holidays. Like, if she had just done that one thing, and there's a reason she's saying, please guys, don't just concentrate on her, that there's a message coming through to people, star seeds, reptilians, whoever's watching. Like, please, like, take care of yourself, take care of your body. Jesus says your body is your temple, and learn how to take care of yourself, take care of each other. Jesus is saying that's why he washed, sorry for the sirens, he showed the disciples how to wash each other's feet, and that wasn't him being he's laughing, he's like, that wasn't just me being weird and being like fake humble. He said it was like they're showing, like, if one of you is sick, they want people to learn how to take care of each other, like learn how to make a tourniquet, do CPR, wash an elderly person's feet, because we have to do that in a civilized society. We can't just rely on hiring people who don't love us to help us take care of ourselves. Like, it's not the same. That's what he was trying to show the disciples. And Judy was Arcturian and Arcturian and Pleiadian, very loving, emotional, soul woman, nurturing, and she was in her feminine energy. They kept trying to put her in her masculine energy, making her sick, because that was not who she was. But she just wishes she could have stayed in her feminine energy, and that she at least had some equals who would take care of her, help take care of her. She never had that. Her children loved her, and her fans loved her, but she never had that really like equal relationship. Her friend Kay loved her, and some of her friends loved her, but she just really wishes she had just closed off a part of her life and had her home base, and that would have really helped her children, and it would have extended her life, and it would have built like a fortune that she should have had and that she needed, and that famous star seeds need to make money to protect themselves. And Jesus and Judy, they're all saying, guys, if you feel like you're a starseed empath, whatever you want to call yourself, please understand that whatever your talent is, if it's tarot, mediumship, art, spirituality, whatever it is, that you are not only allowed to make money off of it, but they're saying, please, they're like begging, please make money, because money is an energy. And you know, money, just take the United States, money is your security, your clothing, your food, the type of food you can have, the type of medical insurance, protection, how you will be cared for when you're older. So please don't let anyone tell you that because you have a God-given talent that you're just supposed to give it out to people, because that means that you're giving out your energy, and there should be an exchange for that. It's your livelihood. And Jesus tried to actually preach that to the Jewish people when he was a disciple here, and it got misconstrued. And that's a dark reptilian energy telling starseeds that, oh, if you are so kind and you are so light and you have this God-given talent, that you should just give it out for free, or you should just give it to me. And that is not true. And a lot of starseeds end up losing their energy, their light, and their livelihood because of this misconception. And they really want you to, they're going to leave it at that, guys. And with that, I say good night. Thank you for watching. Sorry about the camera work. I want to thank Miss Judy Garland and yeah, sorry, I'm talking to her. We're talking about her name, Frances, but she liked the name Judy Garland. It was faded. And she wants to thank you all for listening to her story and for watching her movies. And she'd like you to tune in to Lana Del Rey and try to feel her music and connect to the other side. Try to connect to the other side through Lana's music, through The Weeknd, through Judy Garland's music, through her movies, and try to connect with her while you're doing that, and pray to her to be protected from any sort of anything negative to do with substances or sex or anything like that, any sort of recovery from that, any sort of feeling like you need to be purified. If anything bad has happened to you, please, she's saying, don't feel like it's this curse, like, or that it's you. You can be reinvented, reborn at any time. And if anyone has put any sort of label on you or expectation, you can always say no to the best of your ability. Try to protect yourself and others from the dark energy, from the dark reptilian energy. And with that, I want to thank my whole team. Thank you guys. Thank Judy. And I'm gonna finally say goodnight. I can't believe how long this is, but she's worth it. The Galactic Federation is worth it, and you all are worth it. So much love from my team, and good night. I will come on as soon as possible.